Welcome to From Static Files to Active Coaches, Creating Your Corporate Brain with Neovation's own Philip Giles. We're so happy to have you here today. We've got people from, it looks like, all over the place. So please feel free to use the chat to add comments, add questions. I'll be herding all the questions towards Philip to make sure he doesn't miss any. Though if it is a particularly long answer question, we might just have to reach out to you afterwards because we do have a finite amount of time on this lunchtime webinar series. But as I said, we will be recording the session. We'll get that out to you probably tomorrow. It will also include some support documents. We call it the prompt pack, where we'll tie you into a lot of the things that Philip is demonstrating today. So don't worry about taking notes or trying to do screen captures. We'll make sure you have everything that you need, but it'll take us about a day or so to put all of that together for you. Please use the chat and use emojis to let us know how you're, what you're thinking, how you're feeling about what Philip is presenting. That kind of feedback is really, really valuable. And at the end of the session, there will be a pop-up little 5-question survey. It really helps us to program better webinars for you, to know what you're interested in, to know what you think of this webinar. So if you could take that moment to fill it out, we really, really appreciate it. And now to get started, if you don't know who we are, if it's your first time connecting with Neovation, we are a learning solutions company based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. This event is actually part of Manitoba Tech Week that we're celebrating here in the province. But Neovation, we have both learning platforms like SmarterU, AutoLearn, and we do custom course development as well. We have clients all around the world. And my 2-second plug, our new product, Joy Suite, will be announced, will be launched this spring. It is a robust knowledge center and more that is powered by AI tools. And we're very excited and can't wait to bring that to you. Just watch for upcoming webinars too, as we get ready to launch this out into the world. So I would like to now turn this over to Philip Giles, because you did not come here to hear me talk. I've worked with Philip for almost 2 decades, and he is, like myself, we are AI enthusiasts and how we can use technology to improve our work, make us work faster, stronger, harder, more bionic, as the saying used to be. Philip, I will turn it over to you. Tell us about this corporate brain. I'm going to stop sharing and give it to you. There you go.
Thank you, Susan. Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I do have to say that this is one of the subjects that I feel like a little bit of an imposter talking about, simply because things are moving so quickly that I'm likely not entirely up to date, and odds are there are people on the call who know more than I do. But that said, happy to share some things that I know, some things that I've done, that we've done, that may help you in your learning journey, in your corporate learning journey, or maybe just might be interesting to see. Now, I've been involved with AI since 35 years ago, when back as an undergrad, we were doing some work trying to teach a neural network to tell the difference between a person and a wall. We were mostly unsuccessful. So things have moved a little way since then. What I will say as well, oh, Susan, is my screen sharing? It
You're
is?
good.
Awesome. What I will say is please ask questions as we go along. Ask me to go back, go forward, repeat myself. Susan will manage the chat and will, no doubt, as she said, we've worked together for nearly 2 decades. She will interrupt me as appropriate. You can tell I'm not Canadian by origin, so I have none of the North American, but specifically Canadian sensitivity to being interrupted. So, Susan, go ahead, interrupt me as and when you need, but let's get going and start talking about static files to active coaches, building a corporate brain. Okay, so how many people on the call, and you can metaphorically raise your hands or react with a reaction if you like, have had to build training of some sort, whether it's for a new hire, whether it's for a team member, whether it's for yourself, and all you've got is a bunch of documents, maybe a SharePoint link, maybe a chain of emails, maybe nothing at all, maybe some recorded webinars. And you've got to go ahead and you've got to train someone with that, or you've got to onboard someone with that. And particularly a problem for small companies or smaller companies that don't have the resources to be able to do it. But even for larger companies as well, there's so much information out there that you already have that you're just not able to use as well as you might want to. So we're going to take some steps to solving that problem. And I'm going to be doing it live. So I do have some fallbacks, but as probably a lot of you know, AI is somewhat unpredictable. So we may see some things that I'm not expecting. We may see it misbehave. It may generate some things that are entirely surprising, or it may just behave and do exactly what it did when I did a run through. We'll find out, but please just bear with me as we do that. So, someone new joins the organization, you've got policies, you've got SOPs, you've got guides all over the place, folders that people can't find. People spend a long time looking for answers that already exist. So, I know for us, and we're relatively well organized in a smallish organization, it's hard to find information sometimes because it's in multiple different places. When you have someone who doesn't know something, they're going to do one of a few things. They're going to look it up, ask someone, do nothing at all. Let's say they ask someone. Even experienced staff will give different answers to the same question because they already know all the context. They know the context so well, they've forgotten it. They have shortcuts. Maybe things have changed since the last time they did that thing. And so they're going to provide inconsistent answers for the same kind of information. And training, once it gets built, to train someone on this material gets built and then it gets forgotten because no one really updates it later on. It kind of gets assigned, people forget about it, and 5 years later you're sending out the same piece of training and it's out of date. And I've said L&D, learning and development, but everyone is expected to fix all of this faster, fewer resources. It's hard to do. It's almost impossible to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not knocking traditional training. I'm not knocking traditional e-learning, traditional ILT training. All has its place, but it takes time and it's hard to do. So, two different types of learning and coaching that we're going to talk about. So, performance support, someone needs to look something up. Give me the answer now. Coaching approach to that is a little bit more proactive. It's help me master this skill that I need to learn. Help me practice this scenario that relates to what I am doing or what I need to do. Performance support, so the documents that you're coming from, they're reactive. People look it up when they need it. Coaching is proactive. It builds these pieces over time. And again, repeatedly reinforces what someone needs. Performance support, I love this description. Fast but shallow. You can get it quickly, but you get what you ask for. Coaching, deep but slow. So it takes more time, but it embeds things more deeply. I'd love to say that the saying below is mine. I couldn't find the citation for it, but the gap between performance support and active coaching is where knowledge goes to die. Not quite sure about that, but it's a good starting place for us to move on. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it live. I've got some documents, folder of documents. I'm going to upload them and we're going to generate some stuff out of it. Again, as I said, AI is unpredictable. I don't know what it's going to do. Some things might not work perfectly, but that's what life is with AI, and that's kind of some of the point. You might want to go back to your organization, try some of these things. They won't be perfect the first time, but you can fix them. So let's take a look at some documents and start doing some things. So here we are, totally blank Claude context window. I'm using Claude simply because we use it corporately a lot. It's a great corporate tool in a way that Gemini and ChatGPT aren't quite yet. But the different models just leap over each other, and then one's the best and another's the best. If I'd done this 2 months ago, I would have been using Gemini. 2 months' time, I don't know what I'm going to be using. But let's go ahead and upload some files. And here we are for my XYZ financial organization. Just going to go ahead and upload all of those. To be really clear, XYZ Financial is a totally fictitious organization. These are, excuse me, AI generated, excuse me, AI generated documents. So none of this is real, but they're based on real types of scenarios. Okay, so Claude is now processing. Hey, what can I do? So what have we got? We've got product document, we've got a compliance policy, we've got a customer escalation policy, we've got a transcript from a sales training program, different formats, different authors, different styles, different degrees of quality. That's how that works. So we're going to see now what we can get it to do quickly or easily. So let's try asking it, what do I need to do if a customer wants to escalate a complaint? Okay. So here we are. I'm now getting, based on that escalation guide, which is one of the documents, here are the things that I need to do. If it's a manager, if it needs to escalate up to leadership, and it tells me what to do based on the document that I've seen. So relatively simple information recovery like you would have seen before. Gave me a non-generic answer. It's pulled from the escalation SOP that I uploaded, and it gave it to me in relatively plain English. So now let's try something a little bit different. So new hires handling their first escalation call. What do they need to know about compliance, and what do they need to know about customer tone? Bear in mind, this is a financial services organization, so both of those are really important. Okay. So now what it's doing is it's starting to combine information from the two of them, tell me what I can and can't do. Log needs to be factual, write it like someone's going to read it, can't offer financial remedies. If I don't know, this is my right response. But then it moves on to, here's the tone you need to say. So, and say something real, not scripted. The irony of it then giving me a description or the text as to what I'm going to say when it said, give me something real but not scripted is not misplaced. But it can give you a script as to what you need to say then, what to do, what not to do, and the why at the end. So again, this is just a little step forward from what we saw before. It's bringing two documents together, and it is asking a little bit more, connected the two, put it into one coherent answer. Okay, so really simple, straightforward stuff that you may have seen before, but working with the documents, and these are the kind of questions that someone might be asking. So we're starting to get the beginning of our corporate brain based on the documents that we uploaded. So do we have any questions so far, Susan?
No, but one question I have is
Yeah.
how secure are documents in Claude? Because generally people are concerned about AI consuming their corporate data.
Yeah. So okay, I am going to preface everything I say with, I am not a lawyer. You should take advice. You should review with your IT team. But if you have a professional account with the tools rather than the free one, typically they will be secure and they will not be used to train the model. But again, you should check. And I think we would happily talk with you, have a call, talk about the different models that we use, the advantages and disadvantages of those. So reach out to me, reach out to Susan, very happily set that up. But we use these tools, and we're an AI learning and development training company. So we are confident about the security policies that exist there. It's not the Wild West that it maybe was 2 years ago. Okay, so we've done a couple of things. We've got our compliance policy, we've got tone guidelines, we've brought them all together into one answer. Now let's just ask, see if it can do something. Now, I've not tried that. So let's say, can you write the email for me? And let's see what it does. Need a bit more context. Okay, so what's it asking about? So what was our question? First escalation call. And it's given me some choices as to what that might be. So let's say we're acknowledging an initial client complaint and it's going to the client who complained. And now it's writing that email in the tone of XYZ Financial. Okay. So recovered information from one document, two documents, synthesized them. It's given me instructions, started to teach me what to do. And now we've got it to do one more thing, which is actually produce some of the things I need out the other end of that. So beginnings of the corporate brain, and we haven't written anything ourselves. So now we've had, as I said, that raw content, got the answers, anyone who needs it, and we'll come on to that later as to how you can make these more widely available, and it's not locked into any one person's head. It's portable. So now let's see what we can do with taking this a little bit further. So let's ask it to do some role playing. So role play, exercise, manager delivering custom feedback. Okay. Well, actually, no, let's do this in a different order. Let's ask it to generate a scenario first. Okay, so what I'm asking it to do is generate a workplace scenario where someone's got to handle that escalating complaint. And I'm asking it to include some decision points, include some choices. So I'm starting to get a kind of coaching kind of feel to this now. Okay. So now what I've got here on the right-hand side, Susan, is that visible? Is the font size large enough for that to be viewable for people? Awesome. So what I've got here is a scenario, tells me who I am, tells me about the call, and asks me what I'm going to do and what the results might be based on 3 different decision points. Now, this is a great start. This is something that maybe a manager could use or someone could use to coach me. But it's not quite what I want in terms of it actually, the application, Claude, actually coaching me. So we're going to ask it to do something. Can you build that into interactive activity? Okay, let's just wait for it to finish. Okay. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, so we'll be patient. Well, I'll be patient. Hopefully you will be as well. Okay, so you can see here it's building code on the right-hand side. So this isn't going to be something that your team is going to see. They're not going to be exposed to the code, but you're going to build something like this, and then your team's going to be able to use it. So let's see what this looks like when it's built in.
Philip, while we're waiting for this to roll out,
Yeah.
someone messaged me separately saying that they had attended the How to Build Onboarding Using AI Tools webinar last week and hadn't
Mhm.
received their recording yet.
Oh,
And I just replied to them by text, but I thought I'd take a minute to say, please just email me at hello@Neovation and I'll make sure that you get that recording, and to put in a pitch for watching that webinar recording on our site as well. It was another very hands-on kind of webinar where we use Notebook LLM to build out an entire onboarding suite. So very much a companion piece to this one if you missed that webinar.
and
But whoever that person is, just either message me your contact information, but I'll follow up. Sometimes they do end up in the junk folder just because email is weird. Sorry to
and
interrupt, Philip.
Adam is a great presenter, and
Oh
what it
God,
will do
yes.
is it will give you another look at a different tool, because Notebook LLM and the way Adam is using it is very different to what we're doing here.
Yeah.
probably more immediate application and more straightforward to use the results immediately than it is from what we've seen. But here we go. So you can see now I have, let me make this piece a little bit bigger. I now have a scenario with a setup, tells me who I am, tells me what is happening, tells me that Margaret's received her quarterly statement and noticed a plan revision fee she wasn't expecting. And now I can go ahead and begin the scenario. Margaret's waiting for my response, Silent's getting uncomfortable. I can go ahead and it will walk me through the different options there that I can take and the results that will come out of that. So that's what is interesting though, is clicking on the lock-in choice. It's not doing anything. So AI has misbehaved slightly. So let's tell it. Clicking doesn't do anything. Please fix it. So it's going to go ahead and fix that now. Now that's going to take a little while. So we're going to interrupt that, but you can see it is going and it will fix that and it will come back to, we will come back to that. But now let's go ahead and try something else. Let's go ahead and do the role-playing piece that we were talking about earlier. Okay, so now we've got a role play set up. So this is the kind of thing you might do in an ILT, an instructor-led training kind of experience. And it is giving the facilitator notes here. So again, it's gone ahead and it's built this scenario. It's built it as a way that would be used for an ILT. And what we're going to do in a second is ask it to turn this into something interactive. So quick poll then. Oh, so Marie, you have a question. Can these interactive scenarios be downloaded and integrated into an LMS? Yes. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of that later on. So where does this code get input? Is the code just rolling up until, yes, this is Claude that shows me what it's doing, but you're not going to deploy what it's doing out to your team. You're going to give the end result. This is one of the downsides of me doing it live, in that you get to see how the sausage is made rather than just eating the delicious sausage at the end of it. I went two ways on whether I should do it that way or whether I should just show you some pre-built things. There's enough snake oil and smoke and mirrors with AI that it's kind of hard to believe sometimes what's real and what's not, and what's happening and what's not. So I went with showing you it actually happening so you can believe that it's happening, rather than me just showing you something saying, AI did this. No, this is a real thing happening in front of you as we speak, which is why it's behaving somewhat unpredictably.
And
So
a couple of people are saying that they like seeing the actual process, and so do I, because by seeing it happen live, if my prompt when I'm working on something screws up, I know that it's not me, that it's just learning how to prompt properly or what to watch for when things don't go, I don't get the output that I expect. So knowing that it happens to other people is a learning experience as well. Sometimes it's just a trick of language to get it to do exactly what you want it to do.
now there is going to be one thing later on where I don't show you it doing it. That's because I'm using one of our proprietary prompts to be able to do that. Happy to show it in person with people at another time when we're not recording it in one-to-ones, but I'm not wanting to show that proprietary piece live as we discussed, because it's just not, it's very complex and there's a lot in it.
Yeah.
How do you implement the training, Amory? I hope I pronounced that right, Amory. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, because there are a couple of different ways that you could do this, or there are lots of different ways you can do it, depending on who you are, where you are, whether you have an LMS, whether you're a large organization, small organization, all of those, and whether you care about seeing the end results, or whether you just want to provide the piece to someone so that they can then use it and learn. Okay, so we're getting close to the end with this. If anyone's a web designer or web developer, they will recognize some of this. Used to be my world, but it hasn't been for a long
Mhm.
time. Uh, okay, I apologize for the time this is taking, but again, I went to showing you rather than here's something that's pre-built, and I think we're nearly done here.
Yeah. But it also sets expectations because I've talked to people and their expectation sometimes is that an AI response is instant.
Hmm.
And it isn't. It takes time to chunk through. And then there's the human oversight component where we need to review the output to make sure that it is correct and appropriate for our use.
Yeah. Okay. So now we've got that as a scenario, and we now have this that we can go ahead and use. So Alex has missed the deadline. Let's go ahead and begin that. So I say that why this works tells me this is what I do. This is why it works. What does Alex say now? This is what Alex is saying and explains what's happening. So now I can go ahead and choose how I want to respond to that. So I'm going to do probably the wrong thing and push back firmly. I say, it's not about that. It's about what I'm seeing. And it's giving me the feedback too confrontational. Here's why. Here's the deeper pieces. And this is all stuff that has come out of the documents that we uploaded, extrapolated to some degree, but it's taken it from the tone documents and the process documents and the cultural documents that were part of we uploaded. So it's ours. Now I'm going to jump ahead now because we've had a couple of requests about it. Say, so how am I going to go ahead and share that? Well, let's say you have a learning management system. Can you build this as SCORM? So SCORM, for those who don't know LMS speak, is a 1960s US Department of Defense standard, and it's related to the portability, and it's just asking me versions and so on, the portability of online training. So what it means is if someone's asking for SCORM, then they would be able to then take that and drop it into any learning management system. So we'll go ahead and build a SCORM module for me that I can drop into any LMS, and it's completely portable in that way. But let's say I want to do something else with it because I don't have an LMS. Let's say I want to put this up on my website or an intranet just for people to use, not worried about finding out how they performed on it, but it's some coaching pieces that they can use to teach themselves. So, so I'm just asking it, build this as HTML5 that I can host on my intranet. Okay. So now it's going ahead. It's going to build that as HTML5. So portable mini website that I can then host wherever I want. So you can see that there's a couple of options that we've looked at now for portability of this and for usability in different environments, but there's more as well. But this is a really good starting place. Okay, so it looks like we've got some more questions there. Can you review employee answers? Can you extract metrics from the training, or is that a separate prompt? Yes, you can do anything you like if you ask it appropriately. So if we wanted to host this on our LMS and we wanted it to track particular outcomes within that, we just have to ask it to do that. Then it depends on your LMS and what your LMS is able to record and what it isn't able to record and how you want to go about doing that. But think of it this way. A lot of learning management systems have the ability to do things like convert PowerPoint into SCORM. Ours, SmarterU, does that. It's done it for many years. This is just something that's a little bit deeper than that. You can take content that you have and it'll convert it and package it as SCORM. I hesitate to say there's nothing magical about it because it seems pretty magical, but it's kind of magical. Oh, it looks like we've got more questions. Would this work on something like WordPress? Tanya, that is a very simple question to which there is a somewhat sophisticated answer. Once upon a time, I used to run a web development team, so please reach out to Susan and I will connect with you afterwards to talk about different ways of doing that because WordPress has LMSs. There are other ways of doing things as well. So please reach out to Susan. Susan will put you in touch with me and we'll take a look at that together and what might be possible. Okay, so we are getting this HTML5 artifact. Oh, and another question. If one of the documents originally used is replaced with an updated version, does it need to be rebuilt? Yes. Yes, it does in this case. Because we're building it, it's not referring back. We're building these pieces at the time. Now, there are ways of implementing it in which you can get it to do it in real time. And we're going to take a look at some of that in a second, though it requires a bit more sophistication in terms of how you implement it. Okay, so now we've got this completely self-contained HTML5 file. I can just download that and then you can go ahead and use it. It'll just run. You don't need the internet. You can just run it directly in your browser and it'll just work. Okay, and it looks like Gail is looking for the answer on WordPress as well, Susan. So if you would, fantastic, thank you. So yes, you can use this now anywhere. Things might need to be rebuilt. So let's talk then about what it might mean if you don't want things to be rebuilt. And so what I'm going to go ahead now is we're going to go ahead and take a look at something that is deep, even deeper as a coach. Okay. So here we go. This is where I'm showing you a prompt that I built earlier, proprietary piece, but we built a knowledge coach here. And I've asked it to be graphical. So, and this is referring back to the information that exists. And let's go ahead and say I am intermediate. And so what I've got here, let me maximize this, give us a little bit more, is on the left-hand side, it's telling me the things I need to learn. And the right-hand side, it's asking me questions. So what do I think makes communication feel trustworthy and helpful when I'm on the receiving end? I'm going to answer it with a one-word answer. Let's just say empathy. Let's see how this coach is going to respond. Okay, now it isn't coded for all of these things. Some of this is behavior based on the information that we gave it and the prompt as well. So it's now taking me to a question. Imagine a client asks about a decline transaction. They're frustrated. How would you apply? What would I actually say? So I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm new to this. Let's see what the coach is going to tell me. Now, again, this was a single prompt based on the information that we have coming out of the documents that we uploaded. And it's breaking it down for me. So we're going to do another thing here. I'm going to ask it to package this as HTML5. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and do that. Okay, that's going to take it a little while. So we'll come back to that in a second once it's packaged that as HTML5 and look at what portability of that might mean. Now, I showed you that as a graphical option, as something where I'd asked it to do something and they said, can you make it look nicer? As I promised, this is the one time I'm doing that and not showing you how the sausage is made. But what I have here is the non-graphical version of it, where it's asking me the same questions, and now I can go ahead and respond. Now we're looking at one way that you might deploy this out. It's building this as HTML5, and once we've finished, we'll come back to that. Once it's finished, we'll come back to that. Well, we'll probably check in on it in the time. But this is another way. But let's say you don't have an LMS, but you do have a corporate subscription to Claude. Well, what could you go and do then? So Claude has this feature called projects, where you can create a project that you can then share with your team. So I've got this project that I created with the knowledge coach. And now here it is. This is what we were seeing. This is the knowledge coach that we just saw. And this is shareable with different people. So I can go ahead and share it, and anyone then who has access will be able to go ahead and use it. Now, what I've done as we've looked at these pieces together today is I've kept them as IT light as I possibly can, because there's some complexity that we could get into. But you can do some really sophisticated things if you're wanting to join Claude to other pieces and so on. But I've tried to keep it as simple as possible in terms of the IT end of things and focus on what the coach is, what a coach might do. Okay, Betsy. Yeah, Betsy, that is absolutely true. Claude will build scenarios for storyline. Do you know what it'll also do? Imagine you have a storyline file, and imagine it's quite sophisticated, and imagine you've lost the source. You've just got the SCORM, and there's a bunch of triggers and stuff in there that you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. You can ask Claude. It'll go in, it'll figure it out, and it'll tell you. Now, it might take a little bit of work, but being able to get in and not quite reverse engineer, but if you've got complex scenario-based training and you've lost the source file or it's not well documented, Claude will go ahead and do that for you. So then those pieces that were once unrecoverable are now not unrecoverable. They are usable again. And so you can make changes, probably. You can certainly figure out how it was built and reverse engineer it in a way that you couldn't before. So now let's go back and see how our document is coming on. Okay, it's packaged it as an HTML5 file. So I can go ahead. So let's go ahead and download that. We'll do something with that in a second. It's asking me my name. So you can see it's the same application as we saw before, doing the same things. This is an HTML5 application. Okay. So now let's go ahead and run that. This is running now rather than within Claude. It's running as an HTML5 application, standalone, connected to Claude. Except it's not connected. So it does need that live connection. So you would have to do some work to put in API keys and things like that in order to get it to work. But otherwise, this is an HTML5 version of exactly the same piece. You could use that as SCORM. You could put it on your website. You put it on the intranet as well, and use this for just about anything you like. So we looked at a few different ways of sharing things now. So we've looked first at, LMS. You can share it in an LMS by downloading a SCORM, uploading it as a SCORM file. You can share it from within Claude. You can download it as HTML5 and do whatever you like with it, provided you're willing to do a little bit of work to connect things up. Lots of different ways of reusing these pieces. So I'm going to pause now for a second, mostly because I need a little bit more coffee, and say, is there anything that someone would like to see if we can get the coach to do? Make no promises or no guarantees it's going to work, but we can certainly try to do that. No requests. Looks like we've got a little bit of a quiet audience, or maybe we've just shown everyone everything. I don't know.
I've got one
Yeah.
if nobody else has one. What was the question again, please? Is there something you'd like to see Claude do within
See
the
if we can
coach?
get Claude to do something as a coaching tool. Yeah.
So if I have my employee going through coaching, is there a way
Mhm.
for Claude to do any kind of evaluation?
So what would you be looking for, Susan?
Um, just a sense that they're succeeding, I guess, because it's
Mm,
not an empirical pass-fail measurement, but just, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how solid are their answers? Is that possible? And we have not rehearsed
yeah.
this, so I've just hit him with
No,
something
no,
completely
that's
fresh.
yeah. So let's see. Let's go back to a version where it was like this. So nice
Yeah.
simple one where we're not seeing all of the artifacts. So can you show, hang on, can you amend the coach to show progress? Let's find out. Low stakes knowledge check. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Okay. Can you create? I'll use your exact words, Tanya. Um,
Oh.
well, let's say the former. Let's have that. Okay. So I'm in the coach itself. It's not letting me jump out of the coach. So we've got that pretty locked down. But let's go back to this and let's say, can you create a low stakes knowledge check?
So it wouldn't let you do it as part of the conversation, but you had to go back to the core prompt.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. The coach piece is locked down. So let's say all of the above, 5, 6 questions, and it's going to go ahead now and create those for me. So, okay, we want to role play a scenario in a high stakes situation. Okay, we can do that. So we are going to do something slightly different here. And I'm going to use a scenario prompt that I have used before. Okay. And again, scenario prompting is quite complex. So I've asked it here to, and this is not based on the documents that we have. This is based on just context within the within the prompt itself. So would I like hints to be enabled? Yes, let's have hints. Okay. So now, high stakes conversation. Well, I guess I mean I'm in sales fundamentally, so any sales conversation is a high stakes conversation, and it's asking me about something that I'm trying to sell to Ms. Hayes, and it's asking about the pricing, and so let's give a not good response. That's the pricing. Take it or leave it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now I've got her response. I've got my AI coach here that is telling me what's happened, what I need to do, how might I try again. So is that the kind of thing you were looking for, Tricia? Yep, fantastic. And again, you can package that into the coach. It's just a case of asking the right prompt and asking it to do these things as part of the coaching experience. Okay, so I'm going to go back to finish up the formal piece of the presentation now. I think we've got about 10, 15 minutes left. So, and you will get these slides, but we've talked through all of this, right? Same kind of things that you can do. So you can do this scenario-based practice we've seen, role-playing exercises we've seen, knowledge checks, all coming from your own information, which means that you can solve all of these problems, right? You can interview subject matter experts and upload the audio or the transcript and dump that into your corporate brain. And then all of a sudden, you will have access to that information. You don't need to format it in the same way as you might have done. SME interviewing and extracting the information from it is a very time consuming thing to do and highly valuable. And professional instructional designers spend a lot of time doing it and they get you to an amazing result. Using a professional instructional designer to do the interviewing or doing it yourself and uploading it, you'll get a lot of the way there more quickly. But professional instructional designers are the experts. This is what they do all the time. So, what can you do from here? What documents have you got? Pick a subject area, pick a use case for it. Maybe it's onboarding, maybe it's compliance, maybe it's customer service, whatever it is. And just build one thing based on that where people can ask questions and get coached. And then measure something. What happens? Are people, I mean, for a call center, is handle time going down because people can get answers more quickly or more easily? Is customer satisfaction going up because people have learned the right thing in the right way? Lots of different things you can test there, but don't jump in and try and solve everything. Pick an area, get a win. Pick an area, get a win. That would be my recommendation. Can this be built? Oh, question from, can you track the progress of all users over time? Yes, it's all in how you build it out and what other technology stack you have supporting it. Absolutely. Okay, Trisha, what if after a few, is there a limit of, if you want it to be? If you want there to be a limit, there's a limit. If you don't want there to be a limit, there's not a limit. Um, it will behave how you have asked it to. So if you say keep going, keep hinting until the person gets it, then it'll keep doing that. If you want it to like try 3 times and give up, you can absolutely do that as well. Anthony, sorry, Anthony, I was probably slightly unclear there. The folder is a metaphorical folder that contains all of your corporate information. So, I mean, it might be a paper folder, might be a file folder, might be anything, but it's a metaphorical folder rather than a real actual folder. Adam, any suggestions for deploying when you have a restrictive IT environment? Let's talk about that offline, Adam, because it's going to depend what a restricted environment means for you. I yeah, there's so many different things that could mean. But what I will say is if you can find a way of deploying it and you can find a success, then all of a sudden a lot of things become possible that weren't possible before. I used to run an IT team once upon a time, and they are risk averse. It's their job to be risk averse. It is their job to say no and stop people doing things because the more things people do, the more things they might break. And if you're only introducing danger and risk, it's not going to work out well. You have to be able to demonstrate that you would be providing something beyond just increased risk. So happy to chat about that offline, Adam. Okay. So Anthony, yes, absolutely. Again, metaphorical folder, context window, depending on where you are in terms of an implementation and whether you're looking to do something quick and lightweight or something big and complex, our Joy Suite product will certainly do what you're looking for. And there are other ways of getting at it as well in terms of having this folder that sits there that it's continually referring to. Would Copilot have similar options to build prompts like this? My gut says yes. I've not tried to do it with Copilot, but we can take a look together. Very happy to do that. Can you store the HTML5 in a shared and then have users activate by providing them with a link? Yes. It's just an HTML5 file. It's just going to run it in a browser. It's a mini website. It'll just run in a browser. I mean, terms and conditions applies can depend on a couple of things, but fundamentally, you're just running a mini website. AI policy. Start with the concerns for the organization. So it's going to depend, Marty, what type of industry you're in and whether there are external regulation requirements as opposed to internal IT requirements. So this is not a professional security opinion. This is not a legal opinion. But generally speaking, if you are using a paid model, you can validate those things through the terms and conditions of the paid model. I will say that these concerns are much less of a real thing than they were a year ago, 2 years ago. And frankly, if the LLMs, if our first encounter with the LLMs hadn't been, oh, look, we just gobbled up everything we could find on the internet. I see you laughing, Susan. Then perhaps we wouldn't be having these conversations in quite the same way now. Proprietary info being scraped. If you're in, okay, so you have proprietary info, odds are in OneDrive or Google Drive right now. The risk is not a professional security opinion, not a professional legal opinion. The risk is the same kind of risk, right? If you have things in Google Drive, Google has access to them already. It's no different giving them access to Gemini. But again, happy to chat in more detail with anyone further offline. I love doing these. I do these all the time for companies as well, one-to-ones, whatever. Happy to talk about the different things that can be done, the things that we've learned, things not to do, and chat with you about how to get over that IT fear by demonstrating small successes that then can enable you to get executive buy-in so that your IT team isn't just seeing risk. Okay, so there's some of my contact information as well as a truly giant picture of me on screen. Sorry about that. But you can also, I'll let you wrap up, Susan.
Great. Thank you, Philip. That was a great presentation. I had not seen the whole piece. So that blew my mind on a few things as well. So thank you everyone for